competitive gaming has very quickly and unapologetically propelled itself to the forefront of gaming as a whole. 20 years ago, being good at video games would earn you at most 2.5 daps from the kids in your neighborhood. But nowadays, being good at video games earns you more money than being good at neuroscience. Hey Dad, did you hear that? Gaming makes money now. Oh man, I forgot. There's nothing wrong with it, and it has been proven that competitive games have ushered in an era where games just last a lot longer now. Like, would you believe me if I told you that League of Legends has been at the top of gaming for 23 years now? Okay, that's an exaggeration, but 14 is still impressive. There is a lot of merit to the idea behind ranked queues, and if you're somebody who finds true enjoyment out of climbing ladders, improving your game, and doing whatever you can to just get better, more power to you. But I'm not. I mean, I used to be, but not anymore. Unfortunately, a bunch of terrible, stinky, boo-boo garbage issues have risen with the world's newfound obsession with ranked queues. So if you're somebody who doesn't want to hear about ranked slander, then I suggest you click off the video now because I'm about to tear into that ass like I'm making donkey bolognese. For starters, we have a very basic question. Why did ranked queues and competitive games take over? And that's pretty simple. It's the easiest way for a company to add value to their product without having to do much work. I mean, sure, they could just add new characters, stages, mechanics, and content, but that's hard. Why don't we just get Jeremy from accounting to make a funny little rank number go up and down, and then we could just fire him right after? Let me give you an example. If you beat the original Super Mario Bros., there's no real reason to play it again except for your enjoyment of the game. Until the devs add more stages, enemy types, or content, there's no real reason to come back. But if out of nowhere, the devs decided to create a ranked ladder that ranked all of the fastest clears in the entire world, players would be way more inclined to play the same content again and again in order to compete with one another. We all have an innate need to be the very best. I'm gonna go ahead and blame either Pokemon or Tom Brady for that one. There's a reason why every single arcade ever has a high score front and center. It's to remind you that unless you came to play, this ain't no game. This base designed to compel players to improve is in essence what makes competitive games even work. There must be some sort of accomplishment, a title, a ranked border, an award, a trophy, a scarlet letter, a good job from your old man. This is beneficial to the company behind the game because now instead of having to perma-focus on making new stuff and actual content, they could just change a damage ratio here and there to keep the competitive scene interesting. And if you're somebody who pulls up your overalls and ties in your bootstraps in order to get ready for your next 4 to 6 hour work session in ranked queue, chances are you're probably gonna spend a lot of money on cosmetics even though it's free. So now that we understand why ranked queues are very good for the devs, let's take a look at why they're bad for us. I like that. I with that. If a game is competitive, there will very quickly be a defined meta. And I know what some of you are thinking, meta, I hardly know it. Meta stands for most effective tactic available, which is a very fancy way of saying pick this up here because it's scientifically way better than this. Whether it's defined by big brainiac players who are the best in the game, or robots extrapolating all of the data from every pixel of every game ever played, meta tier lists tell people what to play, but unfortunately also tell people what not to play. Can you imagine if in school, instead of giving an award to the smart students, they also publicly shamed the bad ones? This year's valedictorian is Susie Adams. Congratulations, Susie. You really killed it out there, and we just want to tell you good job. But Eric Matthews, you were so in the middle of the pack that I don't think you're going to get out of an entry-level position in any career you go into. And you, James Taylor, it is ironic that you're trying to do med school because somehow none of your peers discovered that you don't have a pulse. If these 3 characters are good, and everyone knows that these 3 characters are good, chances are you're probably going to play those 3 characters. And even if you're a total badass and decide to not be a meta slave, it doesn't matter because chances are you're probably only going to be facing those 3 characters, which is very bad and creates a lot of player fatigue if things aren't swapped around fast enough. You could probably think of a few games that were ran into the ground because 3 or 4 kings and queens dominated the meta for so long while the rest of the roster had to fend for the scraps. I'm looking at you, Smash 4 Bayo, you bitch. This is where balance comes in, but that word is just made up hokey pokey nonsense. No video game is ever going to be balanced because it's not scientifically possible, unless you're looking at Pong, I guess. Actually, if you zoom in on the left bumper, you could see that it is 1 pixel closer to the side of the screen, which gives the player 0.008 seconds faster to react. Balance patches aren't what they claim to be, and honestly, we should just call them what they really are. Teeter patches. Because whenever something gets a little too strong, something on the other side of the world becomes very OP. Because balancing is a zero-sum game. Boom! I had to change, I got really sweaty. The main reason why balancing is actually important is because it rotates the content of the game that is actually worth being looked at. If a character is bad for months on end, and then one patch they become good, it's almost the same as getting a brand new character. Are you telling me that Bleep Blop got an extra charge on his dash attack? Well, I'm gonna be spamming Bleep Blop then. It's Bleep Blop season, baby. And sure, you can ignore what's good, but in reality, ranked games are only satisfying if you win, which forces players to hard focus on what's overpowered because these games are only fun in one way. Yeah, you could argue that players should just learn how to love losing, but it's hard to do that when there's always something in the line that you're conditioned to give a shit about. If you get to gold, you get a special skin that's only available this season and never again. If you rank up, look at this shiny animation that just tells you good job. If you get to diamond, players are gonna look at you with respect because you're in the top 1%. And in ranked queues, losing isn't just losing a game. It is removing a win, and sometimes more than that. Asking someone to enjoy losing a ranked game is the same as asking somebody to enjoy losing money at a casino. Wow, you just knocked 3 hours of pay off of my work week. Thank you very much. I love this. Speaking of gambling, have you ever heard of engagement optimized matchmaking? Now look, this is theoretical, even though it has been studied by big gaming companies for a very real reason. But have you ever wondered why losers queue exists? Why randomly after winning a few games, your next 3 games in a row you're paired with the most slack-jawed monkeys you've ever seen? Well, the answer is pretty simple, because a lot of times matchmaking isn't built to put you in even games. What would be the point in that? Engagement optimized matchmaking literally maps out how many wins and losses it takes to make you, the individual, play the most games possible without churning away. To put it simply, if engagement optimized matchmaking realizes that you yourself are quitting every time you lose 3 games in a row, then after you lose 2 games in a row, your 3rd game you'll be paired against the worst team ever so that you can stomp them out, be baited back in with more dopamine, and keep playing. Unfortunately, in almost every single case, the churn rate is a lot higher for players when they win too many games. So if you ever find yourself on a win streak, go ahead and open a zoo because the monkeys are coming. So even though the skill level does increase when you rank up, your rank doesn't mean that you'll be going into an even playing field no matter how high you go. Ranked queues are creating a defined meta, which makes a lot of the game's content not worth looking at. And now you're telling me that ranked queues don't really mean shit anyway because you're gonna lose whenever the game tells you to? Wow, that all sounds so toxic and manipulative. Surely it's not gonna rub off on the players. I obviously gotta touch on this part because it's a sad truth when games make players value their rank more than their time. Toxicity has always been a thing when it comes to video games. It was just never this much of a thing. And as much as I want to sit here and go, it's the player's fault for being so toxic, it's not. We are baited in every single aspect of ranked games to believe that our rank is the only thing that matters. We get skins for being good, skins that again will never be available after this season. We get borders, we get respect, we get self-gratification in the only way possible when you Groundhog Day and play the same shit over and over and over again. And if your top laner or tank or controller or skirmisher is standing in the only thing the game teaches you to value, no shit, you're gonna get pissed. The world didn't just get toxic, it's the systems in place that made such angry fucking people. But you want to know the worst part? When a competitive game overstays its welcome, or the devs don't listen to their community for too long, or some other company makes a better version of the same product, do you want to know what happens? The game dies. Once enough people fall out of love, once enough balance patches come out that don't really matter, once a community is neglected to the point of churning away, the game is taken off of life support, removed from live service, and only able to be revisited from a YouTube video or a distant memory. I'm an older person. If I ever want to relive my childhood, I could just boot up my PS2 and play God Hand, or turn on my GameCube and play Sonic Adventure 2 Battle. And it really is a shame that a lot of people that are younger growing up right now won't be able to experience that same thing. That all their memories in whatever live service ranked game that they're playing right now won't be able to be revisited 10 years down the line because these games are meant to burn out fast and make a lot of money. And even if the game doesn't outright die, we all know that in 3 years, none of these games are going to be the same game. You can't just boot up Season 3 of League of Legends, or Season 1 of Apex Legends, or Season 2 of Fortnite. Those versions are gone, and it really is a shame that all of these games that we spent thousands of hours grinding throughout the years are gonna end up lost in time. And all of those moments we spent angry over ranked points and raging at our teammates would have been time wasted. So if you're somebody who truly enjoys ranked queues and find yourself laughing and smiling more than you're upset, more power to you. I truly hope that you can get to whatever rank you're going for, and I'm glad that you could see the good in this system. But if you're someone that's like me, who spent a lot of time upset over teammates, grinding just to grind, unhappy with balances, etc., etc., as someone who quit, I'm here to tell you that you really don't have to do that. Believe it or not, there are games out there that aren't meant to monopolize your time. Games that provide actual content until you're done with them and will gladly wait for your return years down the line. So to quote the great Reggie, if it's not fun, why bother? So now I have two genuine questions for all of you. If you're somebody who still plays ranked games over and over, I want to know why. Is it because it's free? Is it because your friends still play it? Or is it because you genuinely want to get to a higher rank and enjoy the process? And if you're somebody who quit ranked games recently or never got into them, I want to know why as well. This isn't meant to start shit, don't be mad at each other. I just think it'd be interesting to see a comment section full of contrasting ideas. I quit because I just wasn't having fun. And instead, you know what I do? I have been playing terrible games. Here's a video where I played the worst Mario Party clones I could find. And you know what? It was kind of depressing. So I suggest you click that video, because if you enjoyed this video, you'll enjoy that one, because it's literally the exact same style. Go over there and click it. I promise you'll laugh once, and if you don't, come back over here and subscribe just to show me how mad you are.